translation of Sahih Bukhari, Book 80, Laws of Inheritance. Al-Faraa'id. Volume 8, Book 80, Number 716, narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, I became 6-0, Allah's Apostle and Abu Bakr came on foot to pay me a visit. When they came, I was unconscious. Allah's Apostle performed ablution and he poured over me the water of his ablution, and I came to my senses and said, O Allah's Apostle, what shall I do regarding my property? How shall I distribute it? The Prophet did not reply till the divine verses of inheritance were revealed. Number 717, narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, beware of suspicion, for it is the worst of false tales, and don't look for the other's faults, and don't spy, and don't hate each other, and don't desert, cut your relations with one another, O Allah's slaves, be brothers. See Hadith number 90. Number 718, narrated Aisha, Fatima and Al-Abbas came to Abu Bakr, seeking their share from the property of Allah's Apostle, and at that time, they were asking for their land at Fadak and their share from Khaybar. Abu Bakr said to them, I have heard from Allah's Apostle saying, our property cannot be inherited, and whatever we leave is to be spent in charity, but the family of Muhammad may take their provisions from this property. Abu Bakr added, by Allah, I will not leave the procedure I saw Allah's Apostle following during his lifetime concerning this property. Therefore Fatima left Abu Bakr and did not speak to him till she died. Number 719, narrated Aisha, the Prophet said, our Apostle's property should not be inherited, and whatever we leave, is to be spent in charity. Number 720, narrated Malik bin Aus, I went and entered upon Umar, his doorman. Yarfa came saying, Uthman, Abdurrahman, Azubair and Saad are asking your permission to see you, may I admit them? Umar said, yes. So he admitted them. Then he came again and said, may I admit Ali and Abbas? He said, yes. Abbas said, O chief of the believers, judge between me and this man Ali. Umar said, I beseech you by Allah, by whose permission both the heaven and the earth exist, do you know that Allah's Apostle said, the Apostle's property will not be inherited, and whatever we leave after our death is to be spent in charity? And by that Allah's Apostle meant himself. The group said, no doubt, he said so. Umar then faced Ali and Abbas and said, do you both know that Allah's Apostle said that? They replied, no doubt, he said so. Umar said, so let me talk to you about this matter. Allah favored his apostle with something of this fee, that is booty won by the Muslims at war without fighting, which he did not give to anybody else. Allah said, and what Allah gives to his apostle fee booty to do all things. Quran 59 verse 6, and so that property was only for Allah's apostle, yet, by Allah, he neither gathered that property for himself nor withheld it from you, but he gave its income to you, and distributed it among you till there remained the present property, out of which the Prophet used to spend the yearly maintenance for his family, and whatever used to remain, he used to spend it where Allah's property is spent, that is in charity, etc. Allah's Apostle followed that throughout his life. Now I beseech you by Allah, do you know all that? They said, yes. Umar then said to Ali and Abbas, I beseech you by Allah, do you know that? Both of them said, yes. Umar added, and when the Prophet died, Abu Bakr said, I am the successor of Allah's Apostle, and took charge of that property and managed it in the same way as Allah's Apostle did. Then I took charge of this property for 2 years, during which I managed it as Allah's Apostle and Abu Bakr did. Then you both, Ali and Abbas, came to talk to me, bearing the same claim and presenting the same case. O Abbas, you came to me asking for your share from the property of your nephew, and this man Ali came to me, asking for the share of his wife from the property of her father. I said, if you both wish, I will give that to you on that condition, that is that you would follow the way of the Prophet and Abu Bakr, and as I, Umar, have done in managing it. Now both of you seek of me a verdict other than that? Lo! By Allah, by whose permission both the heaven and the earth exist, I will not give any verdict other than that till the hour is established. If you are unable to manage it, then return it to me, and I will be sufficient to manage it on your behalf. Number 721, narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, "Not even a single dinar of my property should be distributed after my death to my inheritors, but whatever I leave excluding the provision for my wives and my servants, should be spent in charity." Number 722, narrated Urwa, Aisha said, "When Allah's Apostle died, his wives intended to send Uthman to Abu Bakr asking him for their share of the inheritance. Then Aisha said to them, 'Didn't Allah's Apostle say, our Apostle's property is not to be inherited, and whatever we leave is to be spent in charity?'" Number 723, narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, "I am more closer to the believers than their own selves, so whoever of them dies while being in debt and leaves nothing for its repayment, then we are to pay his debts on his behalf, and whoever among the believers dies leaving some property, then that property is for his heirs." Number 724, narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet said, "Give the Faraa'id, that is, the shares of the inheritance that are prescribed in the Quran, to those who are entitled to receive it. Then whatever remains, should be given to the closest male relative of the deceased." Number 725, narrated Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, "I was stricken by an ailment that led me to the verge of death. The Prophet came to pay me a visit. I said, 'O Allah's Apostle, I have much property and no heir except my single daughter. Shall I give 2/3 of my property in charity?' He said, 'No.' I said, 'Half of it?' He said, 'No.' I said, 1/3 of it?' He said, 'You may do so, though 1/3 is also too much, for it is better for you to leave your offspring wealthy than to leave them poor, asking others for help. And whatever you spend for Allah's sake you will be rewarded for it, even for a morsel of food which you may put in the mouth of your wife.' I said, 'O Allah's Apostle, will I remain behind and fail to complete my emigration?' The Prophet said, 'If you are left behind after me, whatever good deeds you will do for Allah's sake, that will upgrade you and raise you high. Maybe you will have long life so that some people may benefit by you and others the enemies be harmed by you.' But Allah's Apostle felt sorry for Sa'd bin Khawla as he died in Mecca." Sufyan, a sub-narrator, said that Sa'd bin Khawla was a man from the tribe of Bani Amir bin Lu'i. Number 726, narrated Al-Aswad bin Yazid, Mu'ad bin Jabal came to us in Yemen as a tutor and a ruler, and we the people of Yemen asked him about the distribution of the property of a man who had died leaving a daughter and a sister. Mu'ad gave the daughter 1/2 of the property and gave the sister the other half. Number 727, narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Apostle said, "Give the Faraa'id, that is shares prescribed in the Quran, to those who are entitled to receive it. And whatever remains, should be given to the closest male relative of the deceased." Number 728, narrated Huzayl bin Sharabil, Abu Musa was asked regarding the inheritance of a daughter, a son's daughter, and a sister. He said, "The daughter will take 1/2 and the sister will take 1/2. If you go to Ibn Mas'ud, he will tell you the same." Ibn Mas'ud was asked and was told of Abu Musa's verdict. Ibn Mas'ud then said, "If I give the same verdict, I would stray and would not be of the rightly guided. The verdict I will give in this case, will be the same as the Prophet did, that is 1/2 is for daughter, and 1/6 for the son's daughter, that is both shares make 2/3 of the total property. And the rest is for the sister." Afterwards we came to Abu Musa and informed him of Ibn Mas'ud's verdict, whereupon he said, "So, do not ask me for verdicts, as long as this learned man is among you." Number 729, narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet said, "Give the Faraa'id, that is the shares prescribed in the Quran, to those who are entitled to receive it, and then whatever remains, should be given to the closest male relative of the deceased." Number 730, narrated Ibn Abbas, the person about whom Allah's Apostle said, "If I were to take a Khalil from this nation, my followers, then I would have taken him, that is, Abu Bakr, but the Islamic Brotherhood is better, or said, good, regarded a grandfather as the father himself in inheritance." Number 731, narrated Ibn Abbas, During the early days of Islam, the inheritance used to be given to one's offspring and legacy used to be bequeathed to the parents. Then Allah cancelled what He wished from that order and decreed that the male should be given the equivalent of the portion of 2 females, and for the parents 1/6 for each of them, and for one's wife 1/8 if the deceased has children and 1/4 if he has no children, for one's husband 1/2 if the deceased has no children and 1/4 if she has children. Number 732, narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle gave the judgment that a male or female slave should be given in qisas for an abortion case of a woman from the tribe of Bani Liyan, as blood money for the fetus, but the lady on whom the penalty had been imposed died, so the prophets ordered that her property be inherited by her offspring and her husband and that the penalty be paid by her asaba. Number 733, narrated Al-Aswad, Mu'adh bin Jabal gave this verdict for us in the lifetime of Allah's Apostle. 1/2 of the inheritance is to be given to the daughter and the other half to the sister. Sulayman said, Mu'adh gave a verdict for us, but he did not mention that it was so in the lifetime of Allah's Apostle. Number 734, narrated Huzayl, Abdullah said, the judgment I will give in this matter will be like the judgment of the Prophet, that is 1/2 is for the daughter and 1/6 for the son's daughter and the rest of the inheritance for the sister. Number 735, narrated Jabir, while I was sick, the Prophet entered upon me and asked for some water to perform ablution, and after he had finished his ablution, he sprinkled some water of his ablution over me, whereupon I became conscious and said, O Allah's Apostle, I have sisters. Then the divine verses regarding the laws of inheritance were revealed. Number 736, narrated Al-Bara, the last Quranic verse that was revealed to the Prophet was the final verse of Surat An-Nisa, that is, they ask you for a legal verdict, say, Allah directs thus about those who leave no descendants or ascendants as heirs. Quran 4 verse 176. Number 737, narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, I am more closer to the believers than their own selves, so whoever among them dies leaving some inheritance, his inheritance will be given to his asaba, and whoever dies leaving a debt or dependents or destitute children, then I am their supporter. Number 738, narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet said, give the Faraa'id, the shares of the inheritance that are prescribed in the Quran to those who are entitled to receive it. And whatever is left should be given to the closest male relative of the deceased. Number 739, narrated Ibn Abbas, regarding the holy verse. And to everyone, we have appointed heirs. When the emigrants came to Medina, the answer used to be the heir of the emigrants and vice versa instead of their own kindred by blood dolarum, and that was because of the bond of brotherhood which the Prophet had established between them, that is the answer and the emigrants. But when the divine verse, and to everyone we have appointed heirs, Quran 4 verse 33 was revealed, it cancelled the other order that is to those also, to whom your right hands have pledged. Number 740, narrated Ibn Umar, a man and his wife had a case of li'an or mula'ana during the lifetime of the Prophet and the man denied the paternity of her child. The Prophet gave his verdict for their separation, divorce, and then the child was regarded as belonging to the wife only. Number 741, narrated Aisha, Utbah bin Abi Waqqas said to his brother Sa'd, the son of the slave girl of Zam'a is my son, so be his custodian. So when it was the year of the conquest of Mecca, Sa'd took that child and said, he is my nephew, and my brother told me to be his custodian. On that, Abu bin Zam'a got up and said, but the child is my brother, and the son of my father's slave girl as he was born on his bed. So they both went to the Prophet. Sa'd said, O Allah's Apostle, this is a son of my brother and he told me to be his custodian. Then Abu bin Zam'a said, but he is my brother and the son of the slave girl of my father, born on his bed. The Prophet said, this child is for you, O Abu bin Zam'a, as the child is for the owner of the bed, and the adulterer receives the stones. He then ordered his wife Saudah bint Zam'a to cover herself before that boy as he noticed the boy's resemblance to Utbah. Since then the boy had never seen Saudah till he died. Number 742, narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, the boy is for the owner of the bed. Number 743, narrated Aisha, I bought Barira a female slave, the Prophet said to me, "Buy her, as the wallah is for the manumitted." Once she was given a sheep in charity. The Prophet said, "The sheep is a charitable gift for her Barira and a gift for us." Al-Hakam said, "Barira's husband was a free man." Ibn Abbas said, "When I saw him, he was a slave." Number 744, narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet said, "The wallah is for the manumitted of the slave." Number 745, narrated Abdullah, "The Muslims did not free slaves as Sahaba, but the people of the pre-Islamic period of ignorance used to do so." Number 746, narrated Al-Aswad, "Aisha bought Barira in order to manumit her, but her masters stipulated that her wallah after her death would be for them." Aisha said, "O Allah's Apostle, I have bought Barira in order to manumit her, but her masters stipulated that her wallah will be for them." The Prophet said, "Manumit her, as the wallah is for the one who manumits the slave," or said, "the one who pays her price." Then Aisha bought and manumitted her. After that, Barira was given the choice by the Prophet to stay with her husband or leave him. She said, "If he gave me so much and so much money, I would not stay with him." Al-Aswad added, "Her husband was a free man." The sub-narrator added, "The series of the narrators of Al-Aswad's statement is incomplete. The statement of Ibn Abbas, that is, 'When I saw him he was a slave,' is more authentic." Number 747, narrated Ali, "We have no book to recite except the book of Allah Quran in this paper." Then Ali took out the paper, and behold, there was written in it, legal verdicts about the retaliation for wounds, the ages of the camels to be paid as zakat or as blood money. In it was also written, "Medina is a sanctuary from Air Mountain to Thawr Mountain, so whoever innovates in it and heresies something new in religion or commits a crime in it or gives shelter to such an innovator, will incur the curse of Allah, the angels and all the people, and none of his compulsory or optional good deeds will be accepted on the day of resurrection. And whoever a freed slave takes as his master, that is, befriends some people other than high real masters without the permission of his real masters, will incur the curse of Allah, the angels and all the people, and none of his compulsory or optional good deeds will be accepted on the day of resurrection. Any asylum granted by any Muslim is to be secured by all the Muslims, even if it is granted by one of the lowest social status among them. And whoever betrays a Muslim, in this respect will incur the curse of Allah, the angels, and all the people, and none of his compulsory or optional good deeds will be accepted on the day of resurrection." Number 748, narrated Ibn Umar, "The Prophet forbade the selling of the wallah of slaves or giving it as a present." Number 749, narrated Ibn Umar, that Aisha, the mother of the believers, intended to buy a slave girl in order to manumit her. The slave girl's master said, "We are ready to sell her to you on the condition that her wallah should be for us." Aisha mentioned that to Allah's Apostle, who said, "This condition should not prevent you from buying her, for the wallah is for the one who manumits the slave." Number 750, narrated Al-Aswad, Aisha said, "I bought Barira and her masters stipulated that the wallah would be for them." Aisha mentioned that to the Prophet, and he said, "Manumit her, as the wallah is for the one who gives the silver, that is, pays the price for freeing the slave." Aisha added, "So I manumitted her." After that, the Prophet called her Barira and gave her the choice to go back to her husband or not. She said, "If he gave me so much and so much money, I would not stay with him." So she selected her own self, that is, refused to go back to her husband. Number 751, narrated Ibn Umar, when Aisha intended to buy Barira, she said to the Prophet, "Barira's masters stipulated that they will have the wallah." The Prophet said to Aisha, "Buy her, as the wallah is for the one who manumits." Number 752, narrated Aisha, Allah's Apostle said, "The wallah is for the one who gives the silver, pays the price, and does the favor of manumission after paying the price." Number 753, narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet said, "The freed slave belongs to the people who have freed him," or said something similar. Number 754, narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet said, "The son of the sister of some people is from them or from their own selves." Number 755, narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, "If somebody dies among the Muslims leaving some property, the property will go to his heirs. and if he leaves a debt or dependence, we will take care of them. Number 756, narrated Usama bin Zayd, the Prophet said, a Muslim cannot be the heir of a disbeliever, nor can a disbeliever be the heir of a Muslim. Number 757, narrated Aisha, Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas and Abu bin Zam'ah had a dispute over a boy. Sa'd said, O Allah's Apostle, this boy is the son of my brother, Utbah bin Abi Waqqas, who told me to be his custodian as he was his son. Please notice to whom he bears affinity. And Abu bin Zam'ah said, this is my brother, O Allah's Apostle. He was born on my father's bed by his slave girl. Then the Prophet looked at the boy and noticed evident resemblance between him and Utbah, so he said, the toy is for you, O Abu bin Zam'ah, for the boy is for the owner of the bed, and the stone is for the adulterer. Screen yourself before the boy, O Sa'udah bin Zam'ah. Aisha added, since then he had never seen Sa'udah. Number 758, narrated Sa'd, I heard the Prophet saying, whoever claims to be the son of a person other than his father, and he knows that person is not his father, then paradise will be forbidden for him. I mentioned that to Abu Bakr, and he said, my ears heard that and my heart memorized it from Allah's Apostle. Number 759, narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, do not deny your fathers that is claimed to be the sons of persons other than your fathers, and whoever denies his father, is charged with disbelief. Number 760, narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, there were two women with whom there were their two sons. A wolf came and took away the son of one of them. That lady said to her companion, the wolf has taken your son. The other said, but it has taken your son. So both of them sought the judgment of the Prophet David, who judged that the boy should be given to the older lady. Then both of them went to the Prophet Solomon, son of David, and informed him of the case. Solomon said, give me a knife so that I may cut the child into two portions and give one half to each of you. The younger lady said, do not do so. May Allah bless you. He is her child. On that, he gave the child to the younger lady. Abu Hurairah added, by Allah, I had never heard the word sakin as meaning knife, except on that day, for we used to call it mudya. Number 761, narrated Aisha, Allah's Apostle once entered upon me in a very happy mood, with his features glittering with joy, and said, O Aisha, won't you see that Mujaziz, a Kafir, looked just now at Zayd bin Haritha and Usama bin Zayd and said, these feet of Usama and his father belong to each other. See Hadith number 755, Volume 4. Number 762, narrated Aisha, once Allah's Apostle entered upon me and he was in a very happy mood and said, O Aisha, don't you know that Mujaziz al-Mudliji entered and saw Usama and Zayd with a velvet covering on them and their heads were covered while their feet were uncovered? He said, these feet belong to each other,